Hello artists, welcome to your Young at Art painting class. In front of you, you should have your canvas long ways like so, a paper towel, a large brush, a small brush, your cup of water, your white, black, green, yellow, blue, and pink paint. If you don't have all those materials in front of you, not a problem. Just push pause on the video and come back to us whenever you're ready. All right, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing you're gonna do is take your two brushes and swirl them around in your cup of water and get your brushes nice and clean. And then once you're done, tap them gently onto your paper towel and get them nice and neat. We are gonna start with our background first. We're gonna add some dark blue side to side and gradually add a little bit more black as we get lower down. So it's gonna be a little bit of a brighter blue and darker as we go further down on our canvas. All right, and again, be sure your canvas is long ways like so. So go ahead and grab your big brush to start off with and your blue paint. And then I'm just gonna make a line in the middle just to kind of remind us where the top half is gonna be a little bit lighter. And I'm gonna make a line to the left and to the right. So I just split my canvas in half, one long line, nice and smooth, with my dark blue paint only and my big brush only. Once I'm done, I am gonna go ahead and paint all this space all the way up and even to the sides and the very top of my canvas, this really pretty blue color. I don't want to see any white peeking through, and I'm going all the way from one side to the next, trying to go over any bumps as well. So if you see any big bumps, just kind of go over them to smooth them out. It doesn't have to be perfectly smooth, but you don't want it to be too bumpy. It'll take forever to dry. And we're starting off with our dark background, and then we'll be building our jellyfish on top. I'm just kind of going back and forth, up and down. Smooth as you can get it, all the way from one side to the next. And then you do want to paint the sides where it folds over. So be sure to get the left side above your line, the right side above your line, and then the very top of your canvas where it folds over. Nice and smooth. No white peeking through. Back to my dark blue. Go in there, paint this side as well, above that line. So all of the top part of my canvas will be this nice dark blue. Go back and get this a little bit more wet because I am going to start adding some black to my brush. Take your time, but once you are done with the sides, the top, and then the front, all that top half, you don't even have to clean your brush. You're going to dip a little bit of black on your brush that you haven't cleaned, so it still has that dark blue on it. And I'm gonna come up about a ruler's width with my black, and I'm gonna work my way down. So I grabbed a little bit of black, sweep it so I don't see too much. I'm gonna work my way down. And I'm just gonna add more and more black as I go further down, and pretty much this bottom area is going to be painted more and more black on my brush. Excuse me, I'll lift this up. So it's going to be my dark blue, a mix of my dark blue and my black, and then more black on my brush as I'm going further down. And I can come back up, kind of make those lines going side to side. But I made a line coming up about a ruler's width for my blue, and then worked my black all the way down. And I'm just slowly adding more and more black on my brush and filling up all that space. And I'll even paint the bottom part and the sides where that black does roll over. So I'm gonna get some black all the way down here. Make sure I don't have any white peeking through. And if you see a perfect line right here, I want you to sweep over it. It means you're just kind of flicking with your brush to get rid of that perfect line. You want it to be a little bit more soft. So you're just gonna flick over it to thin it out. And then I'm gonna make a black line that kind of curves over where I went about a ruler's width up, and then I'll work my way down with this black as well. So the left side, I came up about a ruler's width from the blue. I'll do the same thing to the right side, and then the very bottom I'll paint black as well. And then the right side, I'm gonna come up about a ruler's width up from the blue, and then I'll slowly work my way down. So you don't want any white to be poking through. And I'm just painting side to side for all of the background. The very bottom, also black. And before we build our jellyfish on top, we will want our background to be nice and dry. So we'll give it a couple minutes before we build our jellyfish on top where our paint doesn't look so shiny and wet. Right. If you're still working on yours, no problem, take your time. Come up a little bit higher, maybe some sweeps of whatever's left over on my brush. All right, and the left side's black, the right side's black where it folds over in the very bottom. Take your time. One more thing before we're done with our background. I am gonna wipe off the black on my paper towel. Don't worry about washing it. I will go back to my blue and then just more in the middle, just gonna sweep some blue on top. So I'll just have some areas of blue. More in the middle, working with the black. Again, a lot of sweepy movements where you're flicking your brush. You can even carry those sweeps of blue to the side. So kind of working in this area right here with sweeps of blue after you've cleaned off your brush on your paper towel. Gonna come up a little bit too. If you want this top part to be a little bit darker, what you can do, so if you feel like you're seeing too much of your white canvas, what you can do is really wash your big brush and then give this a second coat now that it's dry, and kind of come down a little bit with your dark blue as well. So we've kind of given that some time to dry, and we're just kind of making it a little bit darker, going there with a second coat trying to stay up in this higher area. From side to side. You can even come down a little bit further once you have this area kind of figured out. You can come down with your blue on your brush. You can even do that to the sides as well. Little flicks of blue. Wash my brush. But if you have wet paints, they are gonna move. So if you wanna build on top of it, you do have to give it some time to dry before you can go back and give it another coat. So that's why we kind of went down here, and then if you wanted this part to be a little bit darker, you build that second coat on top. So I'm gonna have my dark blue and black working together, and then more of the black on the bottom. So you can kind of go through, be sure you're doing a lot of flicks side to side with your brush. If you're having a hard time with your colors working together, you can always add some water to your brush, tap it on your paper towel with your big brush, and then go over your black and blue. That water will help them work together a little bit better. And you're just going to mostly black as you're getting to the very bottom edge of your painting. And if you wanted to give your black another coat, you can come down here and add a little bit of black to make it darker once it's dried a little bit as well. But make sure you have those 3 sections, 1, 2, 3, almost in thirds. So section 1, section 2, section 3. Have some flicks coming up from the side, so I don't have blank areas. There we go. All right, there we go. So I am gonna let mine dry for a bit. I'm gonna put my video on pause, but whenever you're ready, you can finish up your background. Be sure that the sides are also done. The top and the bottom are also done as well. Give it, you know, as much time as it needs when it's not so shiny anymore before you start building your jellyfish on top, and I'll see you in a bit. All right, artists, let's get ready for part 2 of our jellyfish painting. Be sure your background's dry. You don't have too many shiny spots. If you do, maybe give it a little bit longer to dry. I am going to just kind of continue on, but again, if you want to watch to kind of give yours a little bit more time to dry, you're welcome to before you get started. You can also change your water and your paper towel. I'm horrible about that, but you should be okay. But once I kind of show you the demonstration, if you want to go and change your water and paper towel so that it's a little bit cleaner, you're welcome to do that. But the first thing we're going to create is kind of the top of the jellyfish, and then we'll start coming down slowly with the line work underneath it. I am going to start with my large brush, and I'm going to build kind of like the top part more in the top third of our canvas. This is going to be done with blue and white on our brush at the same time, so blue and white. I'm going to dip a little bit of blue on my big brush and a little bit of white. And I'm going to come a little bit further down from the very top, and I'm going to make almost like this leaf shape where I come out on the left a little bit and I come out on the right a little bit. I'm going to do like short choppy lines to kind of get that fun texture. So I have a leaf shape kind of in the middle, coming down. It's thin, comes out, and then meets again where the blue and the black kind of meet up. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go back for more blue and more white. And I'm going to start at the top, and I'm going to sweep down a little bit, and then I'm going to come down a little bit too, almost like I'm meeting back this area. I'm going to come up. I'm going to come down, and you'll see more of like the C shape, right? Come down, and then I'm going to meet back up. And then a little bit of blue, a a little bit of white. I'll do the same thing on this other side. I'll start from the top, come down, and this one's more of a backward C shape, right? Go back for more white. I'm going to continue to do the same thing on either side of the jellyfish, so blue and white. I'm going to start at the top where they all kind of meet, C shape. And I'm going to meet right here on the previous one. So I'm not going to go all the way in, but I'm going to meet up right here on the one before it. And same on the other side. You can add blue and white. Start at the top where they all kind of begin, and then come down and meet right here on the bottom part of the section before it. All right, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections. Once I'm done, I can go back with my blue and white, maybe pat some off on your paper towel, and in between them, you can kind of go in there, little sweeps to kind of break them up, a little bit to the top, a little bit to the bottom. This one on the right side, I'm going to start from the top and sweep with a little bit of a curve, almost halfway down. And on the last one, I'm going to start in the middle, kind of curve in, almost like parentheses. I'm going to add a little bit of white to my brush and kind of do the same idea on the other side, but not exactly as a reflection. So I'm just going to maybe pick this spot in the middle, make that line right there, and maybe another spot right here. So I don't want them to be perfect reflections of one another, of areas where they kind of break up. I do want to go back with a little bit more white, tap some on my paper towel so I don't have too much on there, and just kind of create a little bit of cleaner areas where the light hits the jellyfish a little bit. So go in there and just kind of sweep some white. If you feel like your paint looks very bumpy, which it does a lot of times when you have two colors working together, you can add water to your brush, tap it on your paper towel where most of the water is off, and just use a little bit of water on your brush to kind of smooth things out. You'll see a big difference once you add a little bit of water to your brush. That water just helps smooth things. It helps your blue and white work together a little bit better. You can go back for a little bit more white, but you do definitely want to see those areas where there's light hitting the top of your jellyfish a little bit. And we are going to add some other colors on top, so if you feel like this isn't perfect, don't worry about it. You can go in later with your other colors and cover it up or kind of make them work together a little bit better. For now, we just want to kind of lay out our light blue. And again, use that water. That water is really going to help clean things up. You can always make nice, smooth, long lines. I'm going to add more water to mine. You want to get that basic shape. So again, I made that leaf shape, made a C and backward C, meeting up at the point. And then I started at the top, made that C, backward C shape as well. Kind of looks like an upside down pumpkin. Then I went in there and made little curvy lines going this way and backwards this way as well. Once you're done with that, you don't have to clean off your brush. You're gonna come down and start making those cool little squiggly lines. You can use your smaller brush if you want, but the harder you push on your brush, the thicker the line becomes. If you are a beginner, you're welcome to use your small brush. I think it's always a little bit more comfortable. But if you've done this before and you feel more comfortable with a bigger brush, you can. But either way, I'll jump to my small brush, blue and white. But again, you can use either one. Just be aware that the harder you push on your brush, the thicker the line becomes. I'm gonna make some squiggly lines nice and long. I'll start on the left side and come down, and I'm just gonna carry it through, and I'll flick at the end. So I have those thinner ends to my line work, blue and white. Make sure there's not too much on there. Find another area, On the left side, they're kind of curving to the left, and on the right side, they're kind of curving to the right. You can use a variation of your small, your big brush, and just a little bit of a wiggle, not too much. Maybe start off on this one right here. We say you want a beachy wave, not a perm. So be sure you're just giving it a little bit of a curve to your line. And you can go back and add more white if you want to kind of show some areas where light's hitting your jellyfish. And then there is an area here on the right side where it will be making a heart. So if you wanted to watch this one right here on the right side, I am going to come down, tap it on my paper towel so I don't have too much on there. A little bit of a wiggle. Come up like so, almost like an S shape. Come down, see this S right there, and then come over on the right side. Add a little bit of water to my brush to smooth out my paint and to keep it moving. Water is going to be great for this painting. It'll help it bring it together. So there's that S shape. I'll go in there and add a little bit of water to these two. Every time you add water though, be sure that you are patting it on your paper towel because your brush is like a sponge. It's going to soak up a lot of water. So you want to make sure that you don't have too much water on there. And I'll make about, let's say 5 or 6 of these. Maybe kind of fill up. So a little bit of a line going out. So as you see, they're kind of going out to the left here, more in the middle, and then to the right. I have one that maybe crosses this one. And it's okay if they cross. Later on when we do different colors, just be aware if a wet color touches another wet color, they will mix together. So if you don't want them to mix, you do have to wait a couple of minutes before you put the next color on there. Like so. I'm gonna touch this. All right. Then I would let my blue dry for a couple minutes. Go there and kind of clean that one up too. Have a nice variety of maybe thick versus thin with your line work. Maybe some that are a little bit thicker, some that are a little bit thinner. It'll be more interesting for the eye. All right, once I was done, again, give it a couple minutes to dry, but I'm gonna go in there with a little bit of green and a little bit of white on my small brush. If you feel more comfortable with your big, if you're a pro, you're welcome to use your big brush, but green paint, white paint, and I'll pat some off on my paper towel so I don't have too much on there. And with my green, I am gonna start with the top of my jellyfish and sweep some green down and start from the bottom and sweep some up. And you can do this as much as you like, but it's slowly filling up that space. And you don't want to do too much. You still want it to be mostly that blue color, but you definitely want to add some color. And I'm just kind of following the curviness of the jellyfish too. A lot of sweeps where I'm flicking my brush. So I have a little bit of green, a little bit of white. And it's okay if the blue and the white are a little bit wet, but you don't want it to be too wet to where they're mixing together too much. And maybe adding some in here as well. And if you want, you can add water, tap, 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 and go over your green and white if you'd like to kind of smooth it out. While I have green and white on my brush, I'll go in there and add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 6 more lines. I would say 5 or 6 is a good way to go, because we have our yellow and pink still that we're going to be using. And it's okay if they cross. Again, just be sure the ones are going to the left, to the right, coming down a nice variety. And a nice variety of thick and thin, short and tall. Excuse me, short and long. And a little bit of water. Flicking at the end. Water will help this painting a lot, so don't forget to add water to your brush, tap it on your paper towel, and go over your colors. You can go over and underneath your blue. Just know that if they're both wet, they will mix together. It's okay if they do a little bit. Come down with a little bit of a wiggle. Come up and over, and then flick at the end. So I have my first 2 lines. And if you need to pause, you can. I'm going to be making about 3 more lines with my green. So green and white. Start over here. Cross over. There's one. They don't have to be exactly like mine, just kind of have that same idea. I do want most of it to start from underneath this blue, so I'll just kind of work that in right there. Work my way down. I get a little crazy with this one, but that's fine. Next to the heart, so I wanted to kind of add some nice fun movement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe out here too. 1. I think I do want to add one more over here. Just why not? But again, yours does not have to be exactly like mine. Have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines. Coming down and over. This one to the right, coming down and flick. This one's almost like a backwards S. This one has a little bit of a wave to it and curls in, almost like the number 6. It comes out in, backward S feel. A lot of that S movement. And whenever you're ready with your green and white. Next, we are going to wash and dry our brush and move to the pink. And I'm going to add some pink and white to my small brush, big brush, if you feel more comfortable. And if you're still working on your blues and greens, this is a good time to pause, but it's kind of the same idea over and over again. But with our pink, we will be adding some pink in our heart shape. Pink and white on our small brush. I'll start here to the left. Gonna come out, down, and out. Really pretty. You don't have to go in every time for more paint if you don't need to. If there's just a little bit of brush, you can go back. Maybe give a minute for every previous color to dry before you move on. Next to this green. I'm gonna make this one a little bit longer. Come down, and up and over. That's my second line again. That S shape over and over again. Gonna come down onto the left. I smoothed it out with a little bit of water. If you want it to be more bright, you can add more white to it. A little bit of pink, a little bit of white. Pat some off so I don't have too much on there. Work more in this area. I'm gonna start underneath my blue. Maybe cross some, empty in some of this space. Again, that S shape. I'm gonna go all the way down to the very bottom of my canvas and sweep. More pink, more white. I'm gonna come in a little bit more. So to the right, come in, come out, come in. So you'll see that S shape right here. It's shorter than the other pink. If you want your pink to be brighter, you can go back and add more white. If you want it to be a little bit darker, add more of the pink itself. So white's gonna brighten it up. Oh, and I forgot to add some pink to the top. It's okay, I'll go back in just a moment. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. And I want to go in there and paint my heart pink. So pink and white. Can't fill in that space, and I'm using my small brush. You can still see some of the black peeking through as an outline. Like so. So cute. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then my pink heart. Since I have pink and white on my brush, you could have done this previously or now. Doesn't really matter. You can go in there and add some swoops of pink, kind of how we did the green. So I'm going to come up here, going to follow that curvy line. Maybe add some more white. Maybe add some pink over here, kind of more in the middle. I want to fill up that space a little bit between each kind of section. Then maybe over here, and a little bit to the bottom as well, and here to the side. So again, you're kind of keeping that parentheses feel. You want to curve it, you want to sweep it, you want to go in each section and kind of fill it in. A lot of sweepiness where you're flicking your brush to get those thinner ends, and I'll go on this area too. So I have one sectional curve up here with some white and pink on my brush. I'm down here where I'm kind of flicking up and out a little bit. It's okay if the colors touch. I'm over here to the right a little bit. You can have some dark and light pink working. I'm over here on the edge. And I do want a little bit in the middle as well. So let's add some kind of in the middle, following that right side just a little bit. Maybe adding a little bit more white. Finishing it up. Looks really cute. Really, really cute. But find all those sections of pink and white. Look at the way that they're curving. And then you can go in there and kind of flick your small brush. Then you have this area done as well. So there is your pink and white. Once you are done, you can wash and dry your brush. In just a moment, we will move on to yellow. And it's the same idea. We'll add some on top, and then we'll add some on the bottom. I'll wash and dry my small brush. And if you're still working on your greens and pinks and even blues, you're welcome to pause. Kind of look at the length, kind of look at that S form, longer, shorter. Move that brush. Once you're done, and if you're not, you're welcome to push pause. You can add a little bit of yellow, add a little bit of white. If you have too much on there, maybe pat some off on your paper towel. You just want a little bit on there. You can add some lightness with yellow. I just like a little bit of yellow in there because I feel like my green already has some yellow in it. But to the left, to the right, maybe down some a little bit lower down. Find some empty spots and follow the shape of the jellyfish. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4 areas of yellow. Then we'll go in there and add some more line work. So yellow and white to my small brush. Tap it on my paper towel and go in there with 5 or 6 lines. Add a little bit more white to mine. I like it a really light yellow because I want it to look a little bit different than that bright green. So I add a little bit more white. But if you want a brighter yellow, or if you want more of a like a sunny yellow, you can have more yellow on there. But if you want it a little bit more dull, which is what I want to do, I'm gonna add more white. Let's start on the left side. Follow this one. And it's okay if they overlap. I'm gonna do one down here, curvy line, follow that S shape. Go more in the middle maybe. The S in that backward S shape. Maybe make this one a little bit longer in the middle. Add a little bit of water to my brush. It's just that nice S shape. Don't get too wiggly. You usually see one or two S's in our line work. And then maybe here to the right. Add a little bit of a yellow, maybe some twists and turns up here. I'm gonna add just more white to my small brush. Pat it off so I don't have too much on there. Come in here and add a little bit of white and yellow like so. So cute. It fills up the canvas nicely. You can go in there and add more of a certain color if you like. Perfect. I'm gonna wash and dry this brush. And maybe give it a couple minutes before you start adding dots, because in just a moment we're gonna start adding dots to our jellyfish. And we'll just be using the back of our small brush, dipping it in white paint and kind of going over different areas. It's absolutely optional where you want your dots. Don't do too many areas because you don't want to take away attention from your cute jellyfish. But again, let this dry for a couple minutes. Whenever you're ready, find a nice clean area of white. Dip the back of your small brush in white and use it like a stamp. So I'm going to come up here, and on the top part I'll add some white dots. If you're not to this point, you're welcome to pause the video. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's not this first leaf, but it's that second C shape that I made those dots on. I'm gonna go back from a white paint. I think I want to add some down here on top of the blue and white. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I usually do like anywhere from 4 to 6, just a nice variety. Go back for more. Oh, my hand just dipped in there. Make that one a little bit bigger. And the harder you push with the back of your small brush, the thicker, the bigger the dot becomes. So remember that as well. So there's 2 areas. I'm gonna do one more area, and then kind of start working my way down. So bottom left over here, do 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you want more dots, you're welcome to add more dots on the top area, but I'm gonna start working down here. And with the dots, you can work on the top part, the bottom part, a nice variety. You can work around the heart and dots as well. It is artist choice. This one is very artist choice, where you want your line work, where you, how long you want your line work to be, kind of how many colors you want of each kind of line work as well. So feel free to kind of go off on your own. That one's a little bit wet, so I'm gonna grab this. For this area, I did go from large to small. I push harder and a little bit lighter. Kind of create it from big to small. I think I'll do the same thing down here. Push a little bit harder. It's nice to have a little bit of change for your eyes too. Big to small. I think up here I'll go back to normal of all the same size. About the same size. That one accidentally went from big to small too. So that one right there. again, anywhere from 4 to 6 dots is what I see myself doing again and again. I'm gonna add one more. And they're working at top, bottom, middle area for those dots, wherever you want your dots to be. And I am gonna make some dots around this heart right here. Go all the way around, actually, with a little bit of space between each one. All the dots are about the same size. Like so. Maybe one more over here. It's always good to kind of step back and see if there is a place that you want more dots in. Again, don't go crazy. It's easy for me to go crazy with dots, so I'm going to stop myself after this one. Just completes it so nicely. All right. Yeah, I love this painting so much. So there is your gorgeous jellyfish painting. I hope you had a great time, artists. If you're still working on dots or going back and adding more lines, be sure you have some long ones going almost to the end, some to the left, some to the right. Be sure everything looks nice and finished before you're done. Thank you so much again for joining us. Have a beautiful day. Love, Young at Art.